Welcome back to the Real Estate Insider Podcast, the show where we go beyond transactions and get into the real stories behind how people are actually building a business, rebuilding them, and then sometimes completely reinventing themselves along the way. I'm your host, Jared Sawyer. I've been in the mortgage industry for 22 years. One thing I've learned is that the most interesting people in real estate aren't always the ones who followed a perfect path. They're the ones who questioned the system, took hits, learned the hard way, and then built something better out as a result of it. Today's guest fits that to a T. Josh, or Joshua, depending on how he's feeling each day, Riddle. I entered real estate later than most, challenged in traditional commission structure, and then built a team, once scaled to 100 agents across multiple states, and then intentionally simplified things to focus on sustainability, clarity, and alignment. What makes this conversation a little bit different than maybe some of the other episodes we've done is that Joshua isn't just talking about business mechanics. He's open about his faith, discipline, fasting, personal convictions that have really shaped his decisions, including launching an entirely new company, State 48 Window Film, which is a niche market with massive upside, which you can look at his hat there too. If you're an agent, entrepreneur, or investor, or someone who's just questioning the current model that you're in, this is a great episode to tune into. I think you're going to get a lot of valuable nuggets here from Josh as we go about. So with that, after hearing me go on and on and on, Josh, though, as a real estate agent, has been very successful in his time and has helped a lot of people come into the business. Josh, thank you for jumping on. Thanks for making time for this today, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Quite the intro. Really appreciate that, bud. Yeah, it's kind of nice to hear it all on paper, what you've done, for yourself and how you built, because, I still remember day one,
Yeah.
and so, for me, it's just, I've 10 years of real estate business, so many things I've learned, so many experiences, ups, downs, lefts, rights, you name it, this business will fortify you. It'll galvanize you. And so, yeah, it's a great intro. Appreciate the opportunity to talk, man.
Yeah.
Happy to be here and just share anything I can possibly share that might help somebody. Who knows?
Perfect. So let's kind of start at the genesis of everything here. So you didn't jump into real estate at 21. You came in right around 30. You didn't just hype on the gravy train right out of high school. What pushed you into the industry, at 30 and then kind of that point in your life to kind of take a refocus and go in that direction?
Yeah, great question, man. In high school, I was kind of fed the whole got to go to college, get a degree, get a corporate job, work your way up, and worked my way towards that. And while I was going to school, I found myself in jobs such as being a server and then working in running a window tint business for a couple of dealerships that and then leaving that tent position and going to a corporate job at University of Phoenix and finishing my education there and learning a lot about the corporate world there. I felt that I prospered in an environment where I was paid for the production, for the work I could produce, and not for the time it took me to produce that work. And I never wanted to be someone that just went in there and just clocked hours and all those types of things and waited for that clock to hit a certain number and go home. And I always want to be in an environment or thrived in an environment where if I worked hard, I was rewarded for it. So we kind of bounced around from corporate job to corporate job, got into recruiting for a while, did recruiting for about 3 years at two different companies, did pretty good at it, just ethically, morally on a couple of the things. It wasn't the best for me, stealing people from other jobs,
Mhm.
it just didn't sit right. Good money in it, did okay. And then one day I had a friend of mine call me up and say, "Hey man, I'm starting a real estate team and I think you'd be good." And I told him, I can't stand my current boss and I was planning on probably punching him in the face today. And so I was either going to punch my boss in the face or I'm going to start real estate school. And I chose the latter.
Well, that's probably a good choice. Yeah. At the end of the
It
day.
is,
Yeah.
man. You think about a couple of different deviations of where your life ends
Right.
up, right? And yeah, man. So I didn't punch the boss. Started real estate school. 6 weeks later, got my license. I remember telling that guy, hand me this part time. He's like, "Hey, if you're serious, man, there's no part time." You
That's
know,
good advice.
owned a home at the time, had a mortgage I was responsible for. Blessed to have a family say, "Hey, man, give it a try. We're not gonna let you go homeless." And just if you believe in it, go for it. We're here for you. So the support was amazing. And I jumped in, man, and I hit the ground running. After 30 years, almost 40 years now, living in the East Valley, I've met a lot of people, built great relationships. I kept those relationships strong. So that when I was able to hit real estate, in my early 30s, I think I was 31, just turned 31 when I got my license. I hit the ground running. A couple people trusted me right away and great transactions. And off I went, man.
Beautiful. So you started on a team, but you quickly got frustrated from what I remember about talking to you last time with some of the splits on that. What didn't really sit right with you on that? Because I'm sure you're not alone in that.
Yeah, man. So this is kind of what's driven me to create what I've come to create in real estate was just this experience and another one. And it's nothing against the guy that ran the team. He's a good buddy of mine. And, his name's Joe Troppel. and he's a good dude, hard worker. I'm always thankful for him to bring me into the business. I wouldn't be in this business if it wasn't for him. So it's amazing what one phone call can do. But, it was a we'll give you leads, you pay us this on everything, right? You pay us this on your leads, but you pay us this on anything you drum up. And after about a year and a half, kind of looking back at the numbers, I realized of like the 16 or 17 deals I had done in that first year and a half, 16 came from my own personal, sphere. And so, and I was paying, a split that was big on that. And I just felt like, what I was paying, I wasn't getting in value in return. And, if I am getting the value back, then I don't mind paying it. I've never minded paying for value, but it just didn't feel it that way. And so I thought I knew it all, right? I said, hey, appreciate everything you've done. I think I'm going to go solo. And he was great about it. He's like, hey, man, I get it. Good luck, and off I went. Went solo for about a year and just got lonely, full transparency. I got lonely. I would go into the office and get a little porta sub sandwich and sit in front of my computer and jump on Facebook for 3 or 4 hours and think that was the day in the office. But I didn't have anybody to help me learn what to do in the downtime. Buyer comes up, I know what to do. Seller comes up, for the most part, I know what to do. But what do you do in the in between? In between, when you don't have those opportunities in front of you, you don't have that work to do. What do you do? I didn't have that. Something told me to 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 find support. So went to a meeting, which led me to another thing, led me to a golf tournament, met a guy at a golf tournament, ended up joining his real estate team saying this: I don't need your leads. I don't need your systems. All I want to do is be around other realtors. I just want to hang out with realtors that are kicking ass in real estate.
Yeah.
They said, pay us 10%. That's what you got. I said, deal. Right. And so I joined that team and met some really good, smart, young, hungry, hardworking realtors that I've come to respect for many years since meeting them there. And we're doing great, man. Just working and learning and growing. And then EXP came out of left field and changed everything.
Yeah.
So heard about EXP. One of the things I realized when I got into real estate was I understood that giving up corporate benefits was going to suck. Healthcare, retirement, all the things that you believe you have to have. And that are the positives of working for a corporate job. Thought that doesn't exist in real estate is fine, worth the trade off. But then here comes EXP that has very similar benefits: stock, excellent opportunities for growth, revenue stream opportunities, healthcare opportunities. So it was a perfect blend of the freedom of real estate with the benefits of a corporation that I could find. And I was kind of the unsellable. I am the unsellable. I'm a very skeptical person. If you want to sell me, I will listen. And if you have a good value proposition, I will consider it. But, I'm skeptical. And so I was skeptical on this, but everything seemed to make sense. And I was like, you know what? If it makes sense for me, I've only been 3 years in the industry, so I didn't know a ton. But I
Sure.
was felt, if it made sense for me, it will make sense for others like me. Right. That's all I needed, because I knew the kind of person I was. I was learning the kind of person I was. So yeah, dude, jumped on. We were going to bring that whole team over with us. Right. We had the whole team coming. We were just going to come on, me and my friend, me and my partner. Just going to come on. And we're like, no, let's deliver this whole team. So we delivered to the guys that ran the team. Took 3 months to roll it out to the whole team. We had the whole of like the 35 agents, we had like 30, 29, 30 of them coming. We had it all set up, man. It was gonna be beautiful. Me and my partner were gonna be managers. Everything was great. All had signed their ICAs. I mean, it was like we were at the 11th hour. And the guy that ran the team called me in the office, separate of my partner, and said, hey man, we're staying. And I was like,
Oh man.
what? He's like, yeah, we're staying. The owners of the brokerage offered us a $500 a month payout. We can call our office a branch office, and there's all these little rudimentary benefits that really don't mean much, but sounded
Oh,
good on
man, what
paper.
a kick in the gut.
Kick in the gut, dude. I'll never forget that feeling, right? And they tried to separate me and my two partners, telling us because they
Mm.
they knew I was committed. On full transparency, I probably butted heads with the guy that ran the team a little bit, just because again, I don't agree with anything that's not, I'm not gonna say fair. Life's not fair, but he was giving different people on the team different splits and providing them with different opportunities, and that just wasn't right in my book. But it wasn't my team, so who am I to judge? But butted heads with him on some stuff and his philosophies and mine. So he tried to separate us. He kind of knew I was gone. He was trying to pull my partners away from me. That's how I felt. And I just hope that they maybe believed in me a little bit more than they believed in him and whatever. And so I came out, I was mad. I walked across the street, called my wife. I said, we're effing screwed. Uh, they flipped on us. I had anger. I was sad. I had these weird emotions there was tears for sure, but I don't know if they're mad tears or sad tears or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Turned out to be blessing tears for real, man, because, I walked back in, and then by the time I walked in, they had talked to my other partner, and he came out, and I was just praying that he was as mad as I was or as upset with that decision as I was. And he was. And I'm the emotional one. He's the more level headed one. And I said, what are we going to do? He's like, dude, we need to think and we need to react. I said, we need to start our own effing team. And he just gave me this little kind of nod. I said, all right. There were 7 or 8 agents there. I said, listen, they're staying. And I don't know about them, but I can't sit here for 3 months and tell you that this brokerage was the best opportunity for you and then change my mind because someone else is benefiting from that. That just doesn't sit right with my character. So I'm still
Sure.
going. And I've only been in the business 2.5 years, almost 3 maybe. I said, I'm still going. I said, I don't know what we're going to create, but we're going to create something for agents where there's no hierarchy. We're just all in this together. And hence Collaborative Realty Group was born. Our saying was where agents come together to grow together, right? We're not a team, we're a group. And we've been talking about that forever. We're not a team, we're a group. And what's the difference? Well, here's the difference. With the group, there are no additional splits. If it's your lead, wherever you convert it, you can be part of our group and you pay nothing to us, right? With the team, you're looking at 20, 30, 40. I've seen as high as 70% splits. So we don't have any additional splits. And I'm not trying to market my group, but the
No,
other
market
difference
your
is,
group, man. Are you kidding me? Go for it.
so we don't charge splits, right? So we don't charge splits. We have significantly more support than most teams I've seen. And that's just as simple as a once a week mastermind that we've held that I've personally run every Monday since before COVID. Few holidays aside, we've hit every Monday. We average 20 to 35, even 45 agents in there, and we grow. And the agents that have been going to those Mondays continue to go to those Mondays. And the amount that they've grown since the first start of Mondays that we started doing this to today is you can't even immeasurable because we've grown together. And so we have support, right? We have a very open forum and engaging trusting environment where agents can come in and I'll be the first to say, hey guys, here's where I messed up on a deal. Let me tell you about my nightmare listing that took me 4 months. Let me tell you about everything, all the mistakes made by myself as well as my seller and where I would have done different. And what that does is that opens it up to say, hey, listen, if the guy that's kind of leading this thing, running this thing is going to make mistakes, then I can make them too. I said, yes, you can. We all do. And so we have a great group, man. We have a group. And that was 8 years ago. That was almost 8 years ago. And we built it up to a point where my personal umbrella had a little over 100 I don't want to misspeak. I know it was over 100. I don't know the exact number. If I shot in the dark, it was like around 103 ish, 103, safe bet. 3 agents, in 12 or 13 different states. And that was when real estate was popping though, right? That was in 2020, 2021. That was when if you got your license and you could answer a phone and open a door, you're probably going to get a sale, right? Just because everyone was buying. What have we seen since 2021 and 2022, 23, 24, and 25? What have they been? Very rough years.
Not
What did
that.
that do? That moved a lot of realtors out of the business, right? So my group dropped to about 50, right? But I look at this 50, and we talk at the 50 that we talk to, and not all 50 participate every Monday. A good portion of them do. We just talk about these 3 hard years fortified us. They made us stronger, and how? Because we took the opportunity to survive and to create something that was going to be valuable because there were so many agents and so little business to go around. If you didn't have a strong value proposition, if you weren't great at what you did, if you weren't able to present yourself, you were not going to get the business.
Yeah. No, that's a fantastic way to look at it too. Plus, when there's less people, there's less competition, right? And so when the industry shrinks and you decide like, hey, I'm standing my ground, this is going to be what it is. Yeah, I think you find your people because you put yourself in a situation where, okay, well, he's not leaving, she's not leaving, I'm still here. All right, we're in this together. Let's figure this out. And your industry, my industry, very synonymous. And yeah, I think back to the last 4 years too in this business. It's been a little wild, man. It's definitely built up some moxie in everyone that stayed around for
Yeah,
sure.
our motto in our group meetings was, "Hey guys, we're going to be Bubba Gump Shrimp." Right, and what is Bubba Gump
Love it.
Shrimp? Bubba Gump Shrimp's that boat that was out there hunting for shrimp. Here comes the hurricane. What does the hurricane do? Knocks out almost all the other boats, right? He survived it. What happens when he survives it? Market share. You come back, now you have the vast market share, right? That was our motto these last 3 years. We've been talking about this for 3 years. Work hard. We talk about being 1% better. Kaizen is a big word in our group. That's just continuous improvement. Because one of my favorite quotes is, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? And that was a Monty Williams quote. That's where I ever heard it. I don't know if that's his alone, but that's where I heard it. Coach of the Suns turned the culture around. So for these last 3 years, a lot of us in our group have been preparing, right? Preparing our business, preparing our models, preparing our approach, preparing our standards, so that when this market flips, and I'll tell you this, my guy, I've had 3 people reach out to me today about selling their house. That's a record. I've never had that. And I'm telling you, and it's not even 3 o'clock. So, that's exciting, right? I put a lot of work into every one of my listings. So I'm a little nervous. I'm excited. Another
You
work.
got this,
My
Josh.
wife's
Come
like,
on.
My wife's like, "Woohoo!" I'm like, "I know woohoo. I know woohoo, but I got some work to do, right?" Like, this is,
Right.
I love it. There's no better thing in the world than working on a real estate transaction, buy, sells, whatever side of it. It's an honor. But I could tell you, I hit it with confidence because of what I was able to do the last couple of years.
Sure. You built yourself up. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting last time we talked was kind of how faith and discipline intersect into your business decisions. And if you feel comfortable with that, you go into talking about that a little bit more. I think it's really crucial. A lot of people that I've spoken with recently in this industry, um, have a faith, and it's interesting when you talk about this industry kind of drilling down and refining itself a little bit. I think being in this business, you have to have some sort of level of faith. And I loved what you said last time. I wanted your opportunity if you feel comfortable with sharing kind of how that plays a factor into everything that you do, because I think it's really important.
Yeah, I feel like growing up, I was introduced to Christianity and then was never really forced to go, which was great. And I wasn't forced. I'm not a big force me to do anything kind of guy.
Sure.
And then grew to be spiritual, not religious for a while. And then, found my faith in Christ and God again recently in the last, year and a half or so. Very thankful for that, very open to the signs. I talk about the little things, the phone call that my buddy called me to jump into real estate, the sit with my other buddy on that real estate team when the paper was handed down for me to the guy that ran a training that eventually introduced me to EXP. These little tiny moments in your life that give you new direction. And you look back and these are huge pivotal moments. You're like, man, if I wasn't there at that moment, where would my life even be? Like my new business here, State 48 Window Film. I've been working on this new business for 2 months. I have 20 years of experience in window tint, 10 years of experience in real estate. It's a great combination of the two. Found an awesome installer that has the time and energy and knowledge, industry knowledge, to confidently install any project that we get. And the reason I met him and how I met him was during a 72-hour fast. I was on day 2, and he was down the hall in my office replacing a piece of film where someone had put their logo on the wrong side of the door, put it on the film, and he had to replace it. So, had I not met him, had that person not put that sticker there, I'd have not met him. And this new business that I'm, losing sleep over in a good way, would not even exist. This logo on my hat that I've taken 6 months to create or 6 weeks to
It's a
create.
solid logo, Josh. It looks
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
I put a lot of heart and energy into it.
No, for real, it
If
looks
you
really good.
look, there's a little cross there. There's a little cross on my logo, and then if you look at the commercial building, there's actually 48 windows. So just
Subtleties. I like it. Yeah.
subtleties, man. And I've learned too over the years. I started reading 2 years ago, so it's just all these different little signs, man. I talked to some buddies about these signs that I feel like I've been getting, and I go, dude, sometimes it feels like God's just kind of slap you in the face, and like, dude, are you not seeing me? Are you not? Are you not listening? And he's like, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about, and the more people I kind of open up, and I really keep. There's two things I really rarely talk about, and those are politics and religion, because I think those are very deep
Sure.
inner thing that are personal. They're personal to me. No one's really convinced me one way or the other on political sides, and no one's really convinced me one way or the other on religious side. I just felt like it had to kind of come from my heart and my soul, and it's come there. And you know, I know where I sit. But then I started to open up a little bit. I wear a subtle cross on my wrist. I just got this recently, and slowly, still finding my faith, still growing on that side of things. But really, really thankful for the path that I'm on, and grateful for all the little things that I've been blessed with. I honestly couldn't be happier with where everything's going. And I think back at, motorcycle accident, 23, almost died, laying under a tree, leg hanging next to my
Holy
body,
cow. Let's
yeah.
pause on that for a second. Tell me more about this. I gotta hear this. So what
Yeah, I
happened?
mean, it's so funny because I was talking about, I'm reading a book and it's talking about like, how do you get to know people quick? And he said one of the best questions is like, what is one of your defining moments? And so if I was asked that question, that's one of the things that will stick out to me. That's one of the things that absolutely changed my whole life. From basically 23 years old man riding a motorcycle up north between Heber and Sholo, and you know overconfident, trying to keep up with buddies that are significantly better than me at that sport, and hit a tree, bro. Hit kind of a bump and a jump, and had just finished fixing my bike all up and making it even faster than it should have been before, and all that stupid stuff. And rode overconfident, hit a bump, landed on my throttle, took me down this hill, boom, right into like a juniper bush. So it's not like a tree, like a tall tree. It's like one of those thick based, just mountain bushes,
Yeah.
and hit it head on. going fast enough to where somehow my bike stayed on the one side and I ended up on the other side of this bush. And, I remember kind of wait for the noise to stop. And then all of a sudden I look over and my foot's right here. Dude, my whole leg is just like, it looked like a scene from Wizard of Oz when the scarecrow was pulled apart. Like he's looking over, he's like, my leg's over there. Like that's really what it was. It was the craziest thing. But my leg was just next to my head. My foot was right here. Bottom of my foot was like right here, if I remember correctly. And it was just right there. My leg was right there, man. And my buddies are freaking out. You can see the worry in their face. And I never lost consciousness and, was able to lay under that tree until medical help got there and got to me. But I was 100% convinced I was going to die. And, there was a lot of interesting clarity that came from that. What I learned from that, what I tell people when we talk about it at depth is that I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared. I actually felt bad for my parents and my friends, for my friends that were there and had to witness that. I felt bad. And you do, like, stuff flashes, bro. I'm telling you,
Man.
your life flashes, but I wasn't scared. So that was interesting. That kind of took that fear of death down significantly when I faced it and was like, wow, it wasn't so scary.
Right.
I actually cared more about the people in my life than myself. That's refreshing. But yeah, dude, that was 23. That surgeries in the hospital, skin grafts, still have a rod in my leg, had to learn how to walk again. Relying on my parents for the most part, regards to sponge baths and help me in the bathroom, as a 23-year-old man for about 3 or 4 months. So just really, really dug down into humility
Yeah.
and learned, and came out better, man, and still did stupid stuff later because you're still growing up, but I've always kind of leaned back on that day as, a significant moment in regards to just, how I look at like when people complain about their birthdays. And I say, listen, man, beats the alternative.
Yeah.
Man, I'm 42 today. Yeah, beats the alternative, doesn't it?
It's an alternative for sure.
Maybe it doesn't actually, but from what we know, I want to live on this earth a long time. I got littles at home. I want to live long enough for my grandkids to remember me. I guess that's one of my big goals in life.
I think that's a beautiful goal, man. I get it.
Thanks, man.
Totally understand. When you're young and speed's attractive, I've been there, not on a bike in a car, but yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, it's you feel pretty invincible at 23 and you have those reality check moments or your God kind of gets a hold of you and you're like, hey, just remind you, like, oh, you're not
Yeah.
invincible. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to take
Yeah.
care of yourself.
I'm in control, percent, man. So yeah. So that was just a big moment, and then just look back on that, and then everything. I feel like I'm living on borrowed time since then. Look at my kids. I'm like, man, you almost weren't here. Like that's weird. That makes me emotional quickly. So now it's like, okay, maybe I'm here for something. And then just I felt like growing up, always been kind of a natural protector of people, defender of people. Anyone picked on. I never liked anybody that took advantage of somebody. I've had people try to take advantage of me. I've had people take advantage of me. Never one of the worst feelings in the world. And so I've always been someone that's tried to tend to take care of those that are either uneducated or unable to take care of themselves physically, mentally, intellectually, whatever. And that's why, growing up as a salesman was hard for me because I didn't ever like make money off people. I mean, I can sell, but I don't want to make money off of you. I don't want to charge you. If I can make you pay X number of dollars for this car, I make X $100 more. No, no, no. I don't, that doesn't work for me. In real estate, I know that anyone looking to buy and sell that is not a realtor themselves, we are their best option. I know that. You are gonna make the absolute most money and be the most protected by using an experienced agent than you ever would by any of these direct sells, these institutional buyers, these, we buy the homes, whoever the hell ever
Right.
on the market with a representative is going to net you top dollar over every other option. Don't let it, and buying safe. People say, well, the 3% thing came out a year or two ago, right? Now that agents had to like listen up front, I'm getting paid 3%. A lot of agents fizzled out. A lot of agents, when that news shared that we now had to have a conversation and a contract with our buyers for our fee, a lot of agents just dropped out, man, because they didn't understand their value. They never were able to really put it into words. For us in our group, we talked about it. The reason I charge 3% is because I know I pay for myself every time. And so knowing that I pay for myself every transaction allows me to enjoy this job because my ethics, my morals, my beliefs are all intact because I can make good money and my client still benefits.
It's a beautiful thing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we covered a lot of ground here. Tying this back into maybe a realtor that's watching this that kind of feels stuck or they're just not feeling the momentum. They're still in it. They're still fighting. What would you say to them? If someone came to your office, hey Josh, just need to talk, man. Like I can't get any momentum. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. What would be a piece of advice you'd kick off with to maybe somebody that's watching this that's going through that?
Put 100% of your effort into referral-based businesses, a referral-based business. Sorry. No, don't worry about trying to develop leads online. But, the thing is, what's tough, I guess the first thing I would say is, well, tell me about yourself. How long have you lived in Arizona? How long have you had your license? How long have you worked on your real estate career? What support system do you have? Those things are really important to me because I'm not the one size fits all guy in regards to how I kind of I'm a mentor here. I'm a certified mentor at EXP. I have taken on mentorships. I don't like to do as much anymore, but there's some still people in my group that I mentor. And basically it starts this, like tell me about all of you, what you love, why you got into real estate, where you're coming from, how long you've been here, where do you live? Let me do an real estate. Let me do an audit on your business and give me these details. Oh, I just moved in from New York and I moved into Gilbert and I lived here for a year. Okay. You're gonna have to do we're gonna have to get you a sphere. How do I do that? Okay. What hobbies do you have? I play pickleball. Okay. Are you playing pickleball right now? No, start a pickleball group. Okay. Why? Because you love to do it and you're meeting people. Go start. I can tell you where to go. Okay, great. Now we're gonna open houses because we need to have a couple different ways of generating leads. And then we need to work on your CRM and your follow-up. Okay. That would be brand new person from New York. Person lives in Gilbert, 25, 30 years. Let's plug into your sphere, man. Do they know what you do? Yes, they do. How do you tell them? Well, I've emailed them one time. Okay, we're going to put them in. We're going to start putting them on something more of a consistent touch plan. And we're going to start to put together some stuff. Have you ever closed a deal? I've closed 6 deals. Okay, you have enough people. I've closed 2 deals. Okay, you have enough people to have a client appreciation party. I've only closed 2 deals. Yeah, take them out to dinner. Take them axe throwing. Promote, 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 right? Give the love back. You have to be generous in this business. That was one thing that really helped me in the beginning, was super generous in the business. Whether it be great closing gifts or, taking commission ectomies to make a deal close, whatever it took,
Commission ectomies.
you know,
Oh, that's great. I'm gonna steal that.
more common in the early days, not as common now,
Sure.
but they're there, and we all take them because because you got to close. And not only close, but, I actually don't mind commission activities just because generally the return that you get in regards to the story that is told is worth every penny, right? Like I tell agents all the time, listen, when things go wrong, you might freak out. I mean, you don't want to have your client know that you're freaking out, but you can tell that you're freaking out. But that's your opportunity to show how good you are. When
Yep.
things go right, rarely do agents get to show. When people were buying houses in 2020, paying 10% over market value, waiving inspection, waiving appraisals, realtors were selling homes, not doing a damn thing. Other than beating out multiple offers is tough. So you have to do that part. But other than that, if you're waiving inspection, waiving appraisal, you sign on the dotted line, let's get to close. I mean, that wasn't a skill, where it is now.
Order taking is a little bit different than what you're doing. Gotcha. Okay. So fast forward into the future here. Last question I have for you.
Bring it on, let's go.
Huh?
I said, bring it on, let's
Oh,
go.
okay. We're hopefully this is way out in the future. We're at a celebration life for Josh. Everyone's going around passing the mic, telling stories. What do you want people to remember about you specifically?
I guess, you want, there's so many, I mean, there are a lot of things, right? Loyal, genuine, caring. I just, I don't know. I guess all those things, right? Because I pour into people. I care a lot about people. I care about what's right. Willing to defend what's right. So I guess ultimately, that I wasn't afraid to stand up for what's right, and that the people that were in my circle hopefully are better off for knowing me than not. There's a lot of people in my life that have made me better, and so I hope to return the favor to the people out there too, I guess.
I think you're probably doing a good job, man. At least it's just the impression I get from you. Before we
Thanks.
sign off here, though, tell me a little bit more about your film business that you're doing. Give people an opportunity to find you there, and then I also want people to have an opportunity to find you for real estate as well.
Means a lot, man. Yeah, so 10 years in real estate, I'm not giving it up. I'm not going anywhere. I've worked too hard and built too much, and I have a group of agents I got to be there for. So I'm never leaving. But I always said, if real estate ever got old, or if I ever wanted something different, or let's just say AI took over and no longer realtors needed a job, which I don't think will ever happen. Too much gray area. I said, I would start a business in commercial and residential window film. I believe it's a huge niche in Arizona. I believe there's not much competition out there. There's not much education out there for the benefits of all sorts of film, everything from window to interior to some of the security film and privacy film on the inside of office windows. There's just a huge area, and I've laid film. I've done the automotive window tint, which is very difficult for the last 22 years, 23 years. I started when I was 19, so yeah, 41, yeah, 22 years. And so I know film. I understand the benefits of film, and I talk about film. And so I thought, man, commercial, residential, obviously bigger deals, bigger projects versus cars. That's a lot of turn and burn. I don't know if I have the youth or the energy for that. And then when I did my fast, I met the installer, and here's a guy with 10 years of commercial residential window film experience that says, "Oh, I'm a sublet. I work for 3 different shops. I'm their installer." I said, "Man, I've always wanted to start a business in this space. You know, if I handle marketing, branding, and sales, you handle installation, post installation. You want to have a part? You want to partner up?" You know, and he's like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, "Let's go get some lunch, right?" So, had some lunch, came up with State 48 window film. You know, we should have our ROC license by the end of the month. That's really the last missing piece before we go out there and really start, you know, marketing and doing deals. This is the debut of my hat. I just got this stuff yesterday. I'm very excited. I
Love
mean,
it.
from designing the logo to vectorizing the logo to finding the clothes to get it put together. I mean, especially with how important I know logo is, and how I want it to be somewhat attractive to people that don't even probably do the business, you know, all the things. It's just fun to kind of to start something from the ground up with all the knowledge that I've gained in real estate. Real estate is the best business school. If anybody wanted to go to business school, I'd say here's what you do: go get your real estate license and go join a great mentor and do everything that they do, and you're going to have a great business education and you're going to have an income. That's going to teach you way more than college. I believe that to my core, you know, and so. Um, you know, it's just exciting to start a business. If anything, I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old right now. You know, if they were 18, I'd say, please just start a business. Just
You
learn,
learn a
you know,
lot. Yeah.
you know, it's everything. So yeah, so got this. This is commercial, residential, everything from tent, privacy, security to smart film that you can turn on and off with a switch. I'm telling you, there's so many amazing things that film can do for your home and office space. Excited. I have an Instagram together. We're going to officially roll out as soon as we have the RC license. Want to make sure all the, you know, I's are dotted and T's are crossed before we officially roll out. But we're putting it together with great care, and great attention to detail, so that you know we can be, you know, the top in the industry and go out there and compete with blinds and screens as your best option for privacy protection, all the things that those items do as well. So yeah, so Stay 48 window film, my new baby, my real estate business, Riddle Realty. You know, find me on Instagram. CRG is our group. That's Collaborative Realty Group. That's the team that we run. A lot of things, man. I just like to be there for people. If anybody wants to reach out for anything, anything like this, I was just telling my wife about this today, and I said, I just like meeting new people and having conversations, and we'll
Yeah.
see where that goes.
You just never know, right? And you're a testament to that. You know, taking opportunities to meet people and do that is pretty special. And I'll make sure we have Josh's information listed below. So if you feel like reaching out to him, we'll definitely be able to get a hold of him. Josh, thanks again for coming on today. Folks, if you like what you see here, go ahead and like and subscribe for more in-depth real estate knowledge, as well as maybe some offshoot businesses like what Josh is doing. Once
Yeah,
again, my name is Jared Sawyer. Thank you and take care.
thanks, Jared. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.